Welcome everyone to Monday Match Analysis. I'm Gill Gross. It's got to be one of the biggest shows of the year, always is. Post-Madrid, pre-Rome, French Open Power Rankings, Rome preview, breaking down, to a certain extent, Alcaraz and Zverev in the final. I'm not going to do technical analysis on that match. It's just, for obvious reasons, it wasn't a good match, and I have no interest in breaking down the nuances of what went down in the match, but there are interesting takeaways. What did we learn about Carlos Alcaraz? The ascent continues. It is a Masters 1000 title on his home soil. He becomes the first player ever to beat Djokovic and Nadal on clay in the same event. And God, the whole title run was impressive. Basilashvili, Norrie, Nadal, Djokovic, Zverev in Madrid. By far Zverev's best event. There were circumstances regarding the schedule that I will discuss as well. But what do we learn about Carlos? And then I also do want to talk about some of the stuff going on with Zverev. Alcaraz also withdrawing from Rome. I'll hit on that real quick as well. So let's jump right into it, beginning with the French Open Power Rankings. I did kind of mess up last time, and I didn't read them off for any of you guys who listen on audio. But these were the Power Rankings on May 1st. And in Madrid, there's going to be a lot of shakeup. There is. I will warn you right now. Rafael Nadal is back. Where is he going to go into these power rankings? Carlos Alcaraz at number 3. Where will he end up? Well, I'm ready to reveal that, and this time I will read them off for everybody listening. So the French Open Power Rankings as of May 9th are as followed. Carlos Alcaraz at number 1, Nadal at number 2, Djokovic at 3, Tsitsipas at 4, Zverev at 5, Rublev at 6, Sinner at 7, Schwartzman at 8, Ruud at 9, Kecmanovic at 10, Cam Norrie drops out to the next out category. Davidovich Fokina, Hubert Hurkacz, and Felix Auger-Aliassime are also in the next out. And then still on the shelf with injury are Matteo Berrettini and Daniil Medvedev, who I did see practicing this week. So I think he might play Roland Garros, actually, Medvedev. I don't know. He's practicing on clay is all I can say. Okay, let's go through this now. Alcaraz at number 1. Look, he has won titles in 3 out of the last 4 main draws he's entered. He is the only player who has beaten basically all of the significant players in the power rankings, okay? Look at the players below him. Nadal, Djokovic, Tsitsipas, Zverev. He's got to win over all of them. He's beaten all of them. And that kind of forces your hand. Now, look, here's going to be the knock on Alcaraz. The 2 biggest events most similar to Roland Garros are Monte Carlo and Rome. He lost first round at Monte Carlo on a windy day to Korda, and he's not playing Rome. And without a lot of previous Roland Garros results to really go back on, you could make an argument that Alcaraz does lack a little bit of that security in knowing that he can do really well at the biggest events that are most similar to RG. That's the only knock. Other than that, everything points to him being number 1 this week in the power rankings. But I do think that an impressive showing by one of the players below him, I get the feeling that maybe his number 1 spot is vulnerable, even though he's not, or because he's not playing Rome. Or despite him not playing Rome. Okay, Nadal is at number 2. He enters the French Open Power Rankings, and he comes in at number 2. This is a combination of, obviously, his long-term clay court history and what he showed us at the start of 2022. The spectacular play, the spectacular tennis that he came up with until that Indian Wells final when the rib injury derailed him. And between coming back from injury and Madrid being a place that he's really struggled, especially recently, comparatively and relatively, I just wasn't going to put too much stock into what Nadal did at Madrid. He pretty much could have done whatever, and I think he would have been fine. I mean, maybe if he lost to Kecmanovic right away, then Djokovic/Tsitsipas could have been above him. But it's really going to be Rome where Nadal's level is going to be assessed on a more harsh basis. So right now he's at number 2. I could understand if you feel like Djokovic should have that spot. It is close, and the argument would be, okay, look, he's the defending Roland Garros champion and he beat Nadal, and he looked better last week in Madrid. And that would be the argument to put Djokovic above. But for the reasons previously mentioned, I weighed it. I think Nadal gets that number 2 spot. Djokovic comes in at number 3. He's looking better and better each week. Tsitsipas comes in at number 4. Look, again, it's Madrid, so those are the conditions that Zverev is going to have an edge over him. But still, he loses to Zverev, and Nadal enters, and Djokovic looks good, and that's basically why Tsitsipas ends up moving down 3 spots. Even Alcaraz jumps above him. He's at number 4, and again, I think it's tight. Then there's a drop-off. Number 5 is Zverev, but he moves up 2 spots. He kind of recovers his form. Madrid is by far his best event. Now he's got to show that he can still beat top competition outside of those kind of weird Madrid conditions that suit him oh so well. Rublev at number 6. Sinner at number 7. He got blown out by FAA. He moves down 3 spots. Schwartzman at number 8. Ruud at number 9. Kecmanovic at number 10. That actually didn't change. They all moved down 1 spot, but that's just because of Nadal pretty much being inserted. So, none of that changes. None of them were impressive last week. None of them went on runs, but Schwartzman is terrible in Madrid always. He doesn't play well there. Kecmanovic played Nadal right away. And Ruud took another bad loss, but I can't really put him lower than 9 right now. If he suffers another defeat early in Rome, then God, I couldn't imagine this before clay court season, but maybe Ruud does fall out of the French Open power rankings. I don't know. And then Norrie, Davidovich, Fokina, Hurkacz made a quarterfinal again. That's what I thought he would do, but it's Madrid where the serve is going to help him a ton. He's got to show it to me again in Rome, which I know is asking a lot of him because he already had a good run in Monte Carlo in Madrid, but I'm just not really buying it for Hurkacz. And what's really kind of what hurts him is he went 1-4 last season on the clay, and I don't forget that, and that's factored in here. Auger-Aliassime is back in the next out category after, again, being much better in Madrid, but servers conditions, same thing with Hurkacz. He's got to do it outside of Madrid. Okay. Now, I want to talk about Alcaraz. One last look at the French Open power rankings for those watching on YouTube. And with that, I am ready to move on to Alcaraz after a quick shout out to PlayYourCourt, the place to go if you are looking for a local coach, practice partner, or match. Look, tennis lessons are expensive. I assure you, if you're having trouble finding a coach, if you don't want to drop the bag and you want a discounted price on coaching, go to PlayYourCourt and you will find local coaches. You can hand select them and it will be at a discounted rate, almost guaranteed from what you would usually play, okay? Or pay rather. PlayYourCourt.com/Gill Gross is the place to go if you would like a 50% off discount to join the PlayYourCourt community. That link is in the description. Carlos blows out Zverev in the final. I believe it is 6-3, 6-1. Let me just check that real quick. I think my main takeaway, it is 6-3, 6-1. I think my main takeaway here is I keep waiting for Alcaraz to get nervous, to play tight. And look, he's played some bad matches. Okay, we have seen that before. This year in his career, whatever it may be, he does have an erratic style, a high-octane style. He isn't very good at dialing it back when things aren't really going well for him, but usually he doesn't need to. We've seen him play overexcited at times as well. That was kind of my take on the Berrettini match at the Australian Open, where I felt like for 2 sets he was trying to hit a perfect shot on every ball, and he was missing like crazy. And I just thought he was too pumped up, too excited for the moment. Just calm down, right? Deep breaths. Don't let the adrenaline and the excitement get the better of you, right? But I haven't really seen him nervous. And what does that look like? I haven't seen him be afraid to go for his shots. I haven't seen him play ridiculously silly drop shots when, the occasion wouldn't call for it and his brain kind of malfunctions and he goes for a silly one, one that would be classified as poor shot selection in a tight spot in a big moment. I haven't seen him, I haven't seen his footwork go away, or I haven't seen him decelerate in big moments. Like all these things that we see from players who get nervous, and usually the result is deceleration and passivity. Those are the most common side effects, and bad footwork. I haven't seen that yet. I really haven't. And I'll harken back to the conversation I had with Chris Lewitt, talking about Nadal and Alcaraz. It was sometime, maybe 2 or so weeks after the Australian Open. And, Chris, who was my coach and a Spanish tennis expert, was looking at Alcaraz and was saying, Gill, look, he's got every single skill and attribute that you could possibly want. Everything. But the one thing we don't know about Carlos Alcaraz, and we can't know this, is how is he going to play when the chips are down, when he has expectation, he's playing the very best in the world, at the biggest events in the world, in the biggest matches at the end of these tournaments. I mean, look, complicated way to say, how's he going to handle the pressure? How's he going to play in the highest pressure of situations? And, Chris was right at that time. We didn't know that. Now he's won a Masters 1000 tournament in Miami. And that was kind of the beginning of Carlos Alcaraz is a top player, is elite, and is ready to do, contend for every draw he's in. He's a contender right now. Well, now he goes to his home country. He has that expectation on him. He's in Spain. He's in Madrid. He beats Nadal as an underdog, really, even if whatever the odds say. Okay, he beats Nadal, he beats Djokovic. Now he's playing Zverev. He's in Madrid. Still nothing. I still haven't seen him nervous. When am I going to see him nervous? Is that going to happen? Tsitsipas even talked about that he's playing with such freedom and a joy, unencumbered by the usual kind of forces, the negative forces that nerves tend to put on a player, and that just hasn't happened. Well, let's take a look at the numbers, okay? 9-0 in his last 9 finals. It's hard to measure nerves and how a player handles nerves, but he has been unbelievable in finals. Let's just forget the 3 challenger titles that he won in 2020 and at the start of 2021. First tour level final in Umag. He beats Gasquet 6-2, 6-2. Next gen finals, fast 4 format. I know you take that with a grain of salt. Beats Korda in straight sets. Rio plays Schwartzman, wins 6-4, 6-2. Rude in Miami. He beats him 7-5, 6-4. Carreño Busta in Barcelona. He wins 6-3, 6-2. Zverev in Madrid. He wins 6-3, 6-1. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me with these scorelines? I mean, congratulations to Damir Zoomer for taking a set off of Alcaraz in the final of the Barcelona Challenger in October 2020. Because that is the last time Carlos Alcaraz has lost a set in a final. This man just doesn't seem to be cracking under the pressure. I still haven't really seen him nervous. Overexcited, yes. Playing poorly, yes. Nervous, not really. That is just as important as any skill or attribute that he may have. And, he's continuing to answer questions. What about another question? The best of 5 question. Let's address that now. What does all this success mean? Is he going to kind of let off as soon as we get to best of 5? Not seeing anything that suggests that. Not seeing anything that suggests that if you lengthen the format, that is going to lessen who he is as a player. In fact, everything I'm seeing suggests that it'll help him. he's played in the 2 longest best-of-3 matches of the season. De Minaur, Barcelona semifinal, and Djokovic in the Madrid semifinal. Those are the 2 longest best-of-3 matches of the season. So he's won both of those. On 2 occasions, the rain has made it so that he's had to play 2 matches in one day. He's 4-0 in those situations. Happened in Rio and Barcelona. Had to play 4 sets both of those days. So where are we finding that best of 5 is going to be an impediment for this guy? Where are we seeing that? We're not. We're absolutely not seeing that. I understand, some people want to see it until they believe it. That's fine. Go for it. But none of the evidence, he doesn't wear down physically. His focus doesn't tend to go in and out during the course of a match. I'm not seeing anything that suggests that best of 5 is going to affect Alcaraz's chances negatively. Now, what did he do this week, beating Djokovic and Nadal? Well, you can say for sure, for certain, that if he's going to do that at Roland Garros, he's going to get a better version of Nadal, and he's going to get a better version of Djokovic. So it's going to be harder if he had to do that again. No doubt about that. But the best of 5 format, that does not look to be an impediment. He's withdrawn from Rome now, and I have more compliments for that, really. It reminds me of, well, look, now, first of all, he has an ankle issue right now. He needs to recover physically. He said that he had trouble walking on Sunday morning. It was obviously fine for the match with the adrenaline. Obviously, he rolled his ankle against Nadal in the second set, and I think he's still feeling the effects of that. So, but still, we've seen that Alcaraz and his team very willing to be disciplined and smart about their schedule. And remember how 2022 started for Alcaraz, skipping the Australian Open lead-ups to work on his body and get more time in the gym. Wasn't that a wise decision? I think so. Yes, it was. And then here, focusing on recovery, valuing taking care of the body, which we're seeing in every sport, across all sports. That is what the science is telling these players to do. And some players are not with that yet, top players. Because I understand a lot of players don't have the option. A lot of players don't have the option. But you know what? Some do. Team, Rublev, Tsitsipas. I maintain they play too much. And it's not what's best for their bodies. And they need to take a look at what Rafa, Roger, and Novak, and I know they're younger, doesn't matter. I think they need to take a look at what those guys have done, how they've preserved their bodies to play longer and longer and to show up to every event mentally and physical at 100%. And that should be something that is copied. Alcaraz is copying it. Now, I am taking some heat on Twitter today, and I hate that I'm addressing this, but I'll try not to spend too much time on it, about a supposed double standard, about Alcaraz withdrawing after the draw was made. And should I have an issue with that? Because I said that Djokovic shouldn't have done that in India Wells, and he should have withdrawn before the draw was made. And some people are saying it's a double standard. And I disagree. I think the circumstances are completely different. I think that the draw for Rome was made on Friday, the day of Alcaraz's quarterfinal. He would have had, no reason to withdraw at that time. He could have lost to Nadal. He didn't know how the ankle was going to be. There was no, so it would have been impossible for him to withdraw beforehand. Nonetheless, he's withdrawing for physical reasons the day of his last match at the previous event. And it's really not his problem that the scheduling is what it is. And I just see absolutely no issue with withdrawing for physical reasons as soon as you can, because it would have been unrealistic for him to withdraw any sooner. Which is very different and just not the same circumstance as Djokovic hoping that CDC guidelines change effective immediately in a 24-hour window between the draw and, 48-hour window between the draw and first ball, which was never going to happen and was completely unrealistic, and therefore, in my opinion, was just a very unnecessary and avoidable situation. That's it. So completely different situations. If you can't see how they're different, then I can't help you, because they're clearly not the same. They're just completely different. So, okay. Zverev complained about the schedule. Let's address that. Zverev said that the Madrid schedule was problematic and he had no chance to be his best for the final. And I think he has a point. So let me just read you guys what he said. He said, it's the ATP's job was an absolute disgrace this week. 2 days ago, I went to bed at 4:30 a.m. Yesterday, I went to bed at 5:20 a.m. You know, if a normal person goes to bed one night at 4 a.m., the next night at 5 a.m., it will be a tough time just to be awake for them. And for me to play a final against Carlos Alcaraz, who for me is the best player in the world right now, in a Masters 1000 event the next day, it is difficult. Today on court, I'm a little bit angry, I would say, because I had no coordination today. I had no coordination on my serve. I had no coordination on my ground strokes. I missed 2 overheads that were super easy because I see the ball and everything is moving in my eyes. I don't want to take anything away, and today, obviously, even if I'm fresh, I probably would not have beat Carlos, but definitely would be a better match. At the end of the day, I think all of us have stayed up a little late. All of us maybe partied sometimes, but if you're staying up until 4 a.m., the next day you are dead. I played the next day. If you're doing it again the next day until 5 a.m., you will have a difficult time to even be awake. So, he goes on, he continues to ramble about the very same thing, but you get the picture. He's right. He's right. This kind of just deserves to be discussed. That's tough. The Madrid scheduling just seemed like a total mess, from start to finish. There's no cohesion in the tournament. The women, it's a 11-day event for the women and a 7-day event for the men. Completely buries the women's tournament in the second week. You play the men's semifinal and then the women's final in between them, and then another men's semifinal, which also seems a little bit disjointed. I mean, there just seems to be so many solutions for this. There seems to be a thing, though, where the locals in Madrid are used to that, late night schedule, right? And I hear Real Madrid games start very, very late, and nightlife in Madrid and Barcelona starts at like midnight, right? Now, I've never been to Spain. I don't know if these things are true, but, it's the ATP's license. There should probably be some regulations. This goes back to wild, wild West tennis that, the ATP gets to set the guidelines of how tournaments under their promotion or their license have to be operated. And there should probably be some rules about that. So I don't have much to say about this. I just wanted to, more than not, throw it out there. But yeah, I mean, Zverev was playing super late, and I mean, Madrid scheduling just, it seems like, it seems very chaotic. There doesn't seem to be any cohesion there. And it's a tournament where they have roofs on 3 courts. So it should be a beautiful tournament when it comes to scheduling. You never have to worry about rain throwing off any of the tennis, which is great. But that's unfortunate, right? And it can happen again. And that really, it shouldn't be like that, because what Zverev is complaining about is valid. All right, it is time for a preview, a quarter-by-quarter preview of Rome. Last Masters event before Roland Garros, and probably my favorite 1,000. I think so. It's really awesome. I love all the courts, mostly, is the reason. And it feels significant in the spot of the calendar that it is. It feels very important. So those things are all good. Let's start with the number 1 seed, Novak Djokovic's quarter. There is Djokovic, FAA, Schwartzman, and Opelka, who already lost to Stan Wawrinka with his first really big win of 2022. So huge win and he came back from down a set and a break, so big for him. My dark horse in this section is once again Mimir Kecmanovic. I actually kind of like that Kecmanovic lost early in Madrid to Nadal, put up a good fight in the second set, and had some chances, but ultimately lost in straights. That was a round 2 match. Played so much tennis recently that Kecmanovic definitely can use a little bit of time to breathe here. So he now comes into Rome, and it's going to be a very, very fascinating first-round matchup with Diego Schwartzman, which is my early popcorn match. That should be such a good one. And I think that if he's able to beat Schwartzman, and I make Schwartzman a slight favorite in that match, but I think Kecmanovic has a good chance. If he can do that, I think he's got a great chance to advance to the quarterfinal in the bottom half of the draw opposite Djokovic with Felix Auger-Aliassime, who is on upset alert for me. He looked good in Madrid, that's great, but Rome is going to be much, much slower. His serve is going to be much less effective, and he does not have an easy section here. Alejandro Davidovich-Fokina will be his first match in the second round. That's difficult. That's a great returner. That's someone who's going to certainly be willing to extend rallies and defend, and FA is going to have to be patient and consistent. That's a matchup that concerns me a little bit for Felix. And then in round 3, unless Marcos Giron can pull off an upset, it will be Schwartzman or Kecmanovic, two players in the French Open power rankings who I regard very highly, higher than Felix on this surface. So upset alert for FAA. Djokovic will have Karatsev in his first match in Rome. Karatsev and Lloyd Harris, that's a match between two players struggling immensely. And I don't think that should be difficult for for Djokovic, even though he has a loss against Karatsev in Belgrade. I think Djokovic will comfortably avenge that. And then Laszlo Djere and Stan Wawrinka. It's a nice section for Djokovic where he should be able to get some momentum and his feet wet, hopefully without too much trouble if you are Novak Djokovic. So my quarterfinal is Djokovic defeats Diego Schwartzman. Djokovic is looking better and better and better, and Rome is a place where he has been absolutely fantastic throughout his career. It is his win percentage is, I believe, 86%, phenomenal. He almost never loses before the weekend in Rome. Let's go to Rafael Nadal's quarter now. The top seeds are Nadal, Ruud, Hurkacz, and Shapovalov. My dark horse is Botic van de Zandschulp. I know I've spoken about van de Zandschulp. I think it was a couple of Monday match analyses ago. I really like what I'm seeing from him. I'm loving the movement. I'm loving the scrambling. His serve is a weakness on quicker surfaces. I think that the clay helps minimize that weakness because he's able to get a lot of returns in play and break serve a lot. Very, very consistent ball. He's generating off of his forehand side. I think it's wonderful stuff from Botic. And he crushes Sebastian Korda in the first round earlier today. And now he gets Casper Ruud. So once again, dark horse, early popcorn match. Round 2, Casper Ruud against Botic van de Zandschulp. That should be an interesting one. Casper Ruud has lost it. He's missing too many forehands. That's the big problem. It's his best weapon. He hasn't been consistent enough. He's not hitting the ball cleanly. He doesn't have confidence. He looks like a deer in the headlights a little bit. And I can't say I have an amazing read on what the problem is. I don't. He keeps losing before I even have a chance to watch him in a lot of cases. But something is wrong. A lot of bad losses recently, and Botic is not going to be easy for him. Upset alert is Hubert Hurkacz. Hurkacz, credit to him. He's had an amazing clay court season. Monte Carlo quarterfinal, Madrid quarterfinal. I'm just not that impressed with what I've seen from him outside of the results, because the results have been great, but I've watched a lot of his matches, and I really do think that he's riding the coattails of his serve, which is not a bad thing, and that's a great thing for when he moves on to the grass. Great signs for him for when he moves on to the grass. But I just think that it's going to catch up to him, and he's on upset alert for me. I will be very, let's see if he proves me wrong here. And with a good run in Rome, now, you can't really say much if he does great in Rome, because now it's all 3 masters on clay. You start to not be able to say anything about the results, and they are what they are. But for now, I'm not really a buyer in them. Although I will keep in mind how well he's serving. And I will keep that in mind when we move to grass. David Goffin, tough first-round matchup for Hurkacz. Jensen Brooksby awaits round 2. I don't know if that's tough or not. Hard to say with Brooksby on the clay. I'm not really sure, but definitely Goffin is difficult. So let's see what happens there. And I already talked about my early popcorn. So let's go to now the quarterfinal. I have Rafael Nadal beating Botic van de Zandschulp. I am going to pick my dark horse to actually make the quarterfinal. I know a lot of the time I don't do that. I still pick the seed. But no, I like Botic. I think I'm believing in him to actually beat Casper Ruud here. Maybe Casper will have a similar clay court season to Schwartzman last year. Remember, Schwartzman couldn't win a match? Could not win a match. But then Roland Garros, he was better, and I think he made the quarters, or at least the round of 16. So maybe that'll happen for Casper, hopefully for his sake. Let me just take a look at what Nadal has here. Rafa has winner of Cerundolo and John Isner in round 2, which I think is close to a 50-50. Cerundolo qualified. He's very dangerous. Basilashvili and Shapovalov are also there. So what I see for Nadal is a lot of uncomfortable matches, massive hitters. In Rome, I mean, you'd think it's going to be kind of easy picking. It's not. It's weird opponents, it's uncomfortable opponents, but not really threatening opponents for Nadal up until the quarterfinal. And then, between him and Botic, I think Nadal's got a pretty good and favorable quarter here. I think he should be pretty pleased overall. So, as you can see, I'm putting Nadal through. I'm putting Djokovic through. I think we're going to get it. I do. Stefanos Tsitsipas's quarter. It's stacked. Tsitsipas, Rublev, Sinner, and Carreño Busta are the top seeds. Dark horse, none. None of the unseeded players I was really excited about. Upset alert, Carreño Busta. Look, PCB playing some good tennis. He is, but the nerves are killing him. He is losing every single close match. Besides, actually, he played one against, played one in Barcelona that I don't know if it was against Sinner or what. No, it wasn't against Sinner. He did save match points recently, and he won a close match. Other than that, he keeps losing from match point up. He keeps losing close matches. And I think there's a lot of scar tissue building up for Carreño Busta, which is, it's tough because he really is playing pretty well. He's just getting way too tight in big moments, and for that reason, he's on upset alert for me. Early popcorn match for me is, it was tough for me. It's Fognini versus the winner of Sinner and Martinez. Fognini with a good win over Dominic Thiem. This was, I think, Thiem's best performance of his comeback, but Fognini gets the better of him. Fognini's very good in Rome usually. He's excellent here. He generally doesn't go to the semis or win it, but he always has very consistent results in Rome, and he has the crowd behind him, and he's focused and he's motivated, and that makes a big difference for Fognini. He's cut from the same cloth as like a Gael Monfils or a Benoit Paire, where the crowd really helps them. Sinner or Martinez against Fognini in Rome. I think that's my popcorn. Quarterfinal, I'm going with Jannik Sinner defeating Stefanos Tsitsipas. Now, this is the quarter that I feel most uncertain about. I could see a lot of different things happening between Tsitsipas and Rublev and Sinner. I'm actually kind of bummed out because we've seen these matchups a lot, I feel like, over the clay court season. And, we just saw Tsitsipas and Rublev, and we saw Rublev and Sinner. I feel like we keep seeing that. I think we saw it in Monte Carlo. I'd like to. We've seen Carreño Busta and Sinner. If we end up seeing that matchup, it's like I just don't like this quarter because it seems like we're repeating stuff here. But I do have faith in Jannik Sinner. Look, I did not have high hopes for him come Madrid. I'm always weary of Italians in Madrid, and servers conditions never really help Jannik Sinner. But here in Rome on the slow clay, I think he's ready to make his first run in Rome. It has not been a great hunting ground for him, despite him having a ton of experience on these courts. But I have noticed throughout the season, Sinner is starting to do a great job of using crowds to his advantage. He will obviously have that here, and I think hopefully he's recovered physically to an extent that we haven't quite seen for a while, with his body broken down, and between the crowd on his side, his body healed up, and the way he's striking the tennis ball, and how tough he's been, the match toughness he's shown in 2022, I believe he's ready for a signature result. Tsitsipas will obviously would be very tough in the quarterfinal, but I do believe that Sinner's big hitting and his heavy ball can bother Tsitsipas and can attack that backhand defense in rally to an extent where perhaps Sinner can have some success in that matchup, if we do see that. So I put Sinner through. Let's move on now to the final quarter. It is Alexander Zverev's quarter. The top seeds are Zverev and Norrie. There are no other seeds in the quarter. This would have been Carlos Alcaraz. He pulled out. Lucky loser comes in. It's Emil Ruusuvuori. And this would have been the quarter with 3 seeds in it, which is always the case. There's always... Well, actually, I don't really understand. To be honest, I'm not sure why there are 2 seeds. But there are only 2 seeds, okay? So it is a barren wasteland this quarter. This quarter is atrocious. It's not good. Because the unseeded players, they're not all that great, especially in Norrie's section. There's some good ones in Zverev's section, okay? So let's get into this here. Dark horse, Sebastian Baez, Alex de Minaur. You know what? 2 players who I really do have my eye on right now. De Minaur is starting to look very comfortable on the clay. Sebastian Baez, you know how I feel about him. I talked about him a couple of weeks back. Baez could play Zverev round 2. Okay, it's going to be Baez against Talon Griegspoor, another qualifier in round 1. Winner takes on Zverev. It's going to be de Minaur against Tommy Paul. Tommy Paul's been a dark horse for me in the past. Okay, I do respect what Tommy Paul can do at his best, even on the clay. So that could be a good matchup as well. That is in Zverev's section. So I believe there are some legitimate contenders in Zverev's section, some players who I do regard quite highly as, let's say, top 20 players on the clay. Norrie's section, I mean, there's nothing here. There's Emil Ruusuvuori, who is much better on a hard court than he is on clay. There's Christian Garin, who is, I mean, he's had one good result in the last year, it feels like, which was Houston. That's it. You have Marin Cilic, who's good in Madrid. This is way too slow for Marin Cilic at the age that he is in to have success. Way too slow. You have Cam Norrie playing Italian wildcard Luca Nardi here. I mean, there is nothing to really challenge Norrie here, in my opinion. So I know I'm kind of giving away what my quarterfinal is going to be, but that, for a Masters 1000, 56 draw, I mean, that is really, really weak. Quarterfinals, Zverev defeats Norrie. Now, look, I think... Oh, and my upset alert is Alexander Zverev. Here's how I describe this for Zverev. I think the first match could be tough for him. We have seen him have sort of letdowns week to week after title runs. In fact, there's been a pattern in his career where he has lost first round on a couple of occasions after winning titles. We saw that after he won, just one off the top of my head. He won Acapulco last year, lost first round to Ruusuvuori the next week in Miami, right? That's an example. I think he is a player who can kind of build in excuses for himself, can kind of be a victim of some extenuating circumstances, can fall victim to fatigue sometimes. So, and, you know, this is no Madrid. Zverev is much better in Madrid than he is on other clay. But he is also very, very good on other clay. And he is a former champion here in Rome. So, you know, it's there's certainly, you can go both ways. I do think that Baez or Griegspoor would not be particularly biased, but neither would be a particularly easy first round. So I have Zverev on upset alert. After that, and I still think he wins, after that, I can't really see him losing to de Minaur or Tommy Paul or something like that. So I put him through. Or Norrie, by the way. I can't see him losing to Norrie either. So I do put him through, but I also have him on upset alert. Okay? Both things can be true. Now let's get to the final weekend, shall we? All right? Ready? Are you sure? Here it is. Nadal defeats Djokovic in 3 sets. Sinner defeats Zverev in 3 sets. Nadal defeats Sinner in 2 sets. I am feeling good about the level that Rafael Nadal will bring here. I'm feeling high about it. I'm also feeling good about the level that Novak Djokovic is going to bring. I think that Nadal is going to have a little bit more built-in confidence. It's a tough call. I don't feel strongly about it if this match happens. Obviously, before the match, I'll have different feelings based on how they've looked. But I also want to see what Djokovic's early aggression looks like in these slower conditions, which might take him more time to build that up. I also need to see Nadal play, obviously, a lot better than he did last week in Madrid. It's hard to say. I'm going with Nadal. Is there a bit of a revenge factor, a motivational factor in there? You know, does Nadal come into the match with more bulletin board material than Novak does? I think so. And maybe that's weighing into my gut, feeling Nadal in that semifinal. So I'm going to leave it at that. Sinner over Zverev. I still feel like Zverev is vulnerable at times on some of these big occasions. And I do think fatigue would start to play a factor, a big-time factor. In fact, I mostly have Zverev moving on because of his draw. Let's face it. Mostly because of his draw. And I think as soon as he plays a worthy opponent, I don't really love him this week at the end of the day. So Sinner moves on from Zverev. Nadal takes out Sinner in 2 sets. I do believe that Sinner is still not in that tier yet. Not in that tier. In the tier below, solidly. And there you have it. I believe Rafael Nadal wins Rome. Can't wait for this tournament. Can't wait to see what it brings. All right? Should be good. Loaded Monday match analysis, wasn't this? Throwing a lot at you guys, but hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time.